G'day fellas, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. Quick recap, last week we went 4 from 7 and our win percentage continues to drop. It only went down 1% again, but it's starting to annoy me that these 1% are starting to add up. The Dolphins, I did say, if you want a smart bet, go for Parramatta, but it is what it is. I thought the Dolphins might be able to pull out a cheeky upset, just was not the case. Parramatta too strong again. Don't know what really happened to the Broncos. They had 2 disallowed tries. Titans also had a disallowed try, but in the end, the Titans got up by 6. Really could have been anyone's game, though. And as for the Bunnies, I'm not even going to get into this. This one was crazy. The Cowboys are on fire right now, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later in the video, but this is without a doubt the round of the year, round 18, and there's a lot to get through, so let's not waste any time and get right on into it. So starting off on Thursday, and the only game of Thursday, the Sharks are hosting the Dragons. Now the Dragons could potentially cop their first wooden spoon since they became St. George Illawarra. The Sharks have also been very hit or miss, but are normally very consistent at home. Now it's a no-brainer, but the Sharks are obviously the much more in-form and much more talented team going into this game. I do think that the Dragons will give it a good crack. This is just too strong of a Sharkies team, even with some questionable performances recently. We also saw what Zelezniak did to the Dragons wing, and I feel like Ronaldo and Talakai are going to be able to replicate that pretty much identically. Now, I have no idea what's going on with Ben Hunt. Apparently, it was meant to be released. We still haven't heard any news about it. I am recording this on a Tuesday morning. Regardless, be all end all, I'm going Sharkies 13+. Next up, my game of the week and the first game of Friday, the Warriors hosting the Bunnies. This will be a sold-out game for sure. And the Bunnies are in danger of losing 3 in a row, and they dropped down to 8th, trailing the Waz, who jumped to 5th. Now, the Bunnies without Latrell have looked absolutely terrible. I have no idea what's going on with the team. They just can't seem to find their groove. It's almost like a little bit of an origin hangover, if you will. Jai Arrow will also not be back until round 21, same week as Latrell. The thing is, though, the Bunnies have a really good record against the Warriors. And to tip it all off, the Bunnies even have a really good record at Mount Smart Stadium as well. No matter who wins this, it'll be an absolute banger. With the impressive crowd that'll be behind the Warriors all night, though, I'll take them, but because both teams are desperate for this win, I'll take the Warriors 1-12. So Friday night is definitely a special one. We follow that right up with the Storm hosting the Panthers. This is number 1 in the comp versus number 3. These guys are also 5-5 in their last 10. Now the thing is, the reality is, the Panthers by far have the best defense in the competition, and it's not even really close. In fact, people used to rave last year and the year before how good their defense was. Statistically speaking, their defense this third year is even better than the back-to-back premiership years. Munster is back though after being out last week with a cold. I do have a feeling that this game will get heated too. I do think there's going to be a little bit of a push and shove. We got a lot of big personalities out there. Munster versus Luai. Big Nelson's going to be out there up against Fish and Leota. Now, normally I'm riding with my team 100% of the time. The biggest discrepancy here for me is that, of course, Cleary is still out with injury, and this game is at Amy Park, where the Storm are simply at their best. The Panthers have also not played at Amy Park since 2018. Very hostile crowd they are walking into. I'm going to go the Storm here 1-12. The first game is Saturday, the Raiders hosting the Titans. If we didn't have some of the biggest games of the season this week, this would be my game of the week. These two match up perfectly. Both are off big wins. The Raiders climb to 6, whilst the Titans seem to have shaken off the rust and are looking to jump into the top 8. The big blow here for the Raiders, though, is that Big Papa, Papali'i, is not going to be there for this game. Now, I'm a massive fan of the Raiders this year. They have a really exciting attack. They offload it more than anybody else in the competition. There has been some sloppy games defensively this year, but those days seem to be behind them for the most part. Fogarty was sensational against the Roosters, but I don't think AJ Brimson will struggle all that much with the lethal kicks. I do feel like a lot of people are going to fade the Titans this week. However, taking everything into account, this is going to be my upset of the week. Normally, I'm 100% on the Raiders and I fade the Titans all the time, but I'm going to take the Titans to back up that Broncos win 1-12. And here we go again. Cowboys and the Tigers. This time it's in Queensland, where the Cowboys just a few weeks ago embarrassed the number 3 Storm. The Tigers have definitely had some flashes of brilliance, but without Appy and Luke Brooks, who also just signed to Manly, I just can't pick the Tigers here. I've said it a few times, but there's now some new people around. Before the season even started, before preseason, before everything, I had the Cowboys being number 1. Now, it was a very bold prediction, but the Cowboys have definitely been proving lately that whilst number 1 is definitely unobtainable, they do have what it takes to compete with literally anybody. Scott Drinkwater has also been insane these last couple weeks. I'm going to go Cows 13+. The last game is Saturday, Broncos and Dolphins. First off, regardless of how both of these teams have been doing lately, this is going to be a close game. Kaufusi returning is really solid for the Dolphins here, but they could still be without Jeremy Marshall-King, who is someone at times the Dolphins rely heavy on in offense. I do think that Marshall-King will play though. I think it's one of those situations where the coach is like, oh, he's not going to play, but he is playing the whole time, you know? He's a tough guy. He'll probably play. Sean O'Sullivan is also back, but at the time of this recording, Reese Lightning, he faces the Judiciary Tuesday night. I'm recording this Tuesday morning. Technically a home ground for both teams, but there's one thing that's really putting me off the Dolphins. What if I were to tell you that the Dolphins rank last in defense? It's on the screen. The numbers are right there for you. 411 points allowed, which beats out both the Doggies and the Dragons. They have had some injuries and, Origin and things like that, but at the end of the day, when it rains, it pours against these poor Dolphins. I'm going to take the Broncos here at 1-12. The second game is Sunday, Doggies and Knights. Now, I'll keep this short and sweet. I really like the Knights despite coming in near the bottom. They're strong at home for sure. McDonald Jones Stadium definitely do be rocking. But something is telling me to back the Doggies this week. Origin's coming up, which might mean big games for Addo Carr and more importantly, Birdo. And a little fun fact, the Knights have only won one away game this entire season. That is correct. One game on the road. I do think that the Knights are far superior talent-wise. I also don't know who's covering Dom Young on high balls as well as Ponga's general brilliance. On top of that, the Doggies have conceded 107 points in their last 3 games. I just don't care though. For whatever reason, I'm going to take the Doggies here for the cheeky upset. 1-12. And to finish it all off on Sunday night, Manly hosting the Roosters. Manly dropped all the way to 13th after last week. And as we all know, Turbo is gone for the season. However, we should see the return of Saab, Tuolagi, Burbo, and Gerbo. Suoli'i is also going to return for the Roosters. A big gain for them for sure. And heading into this game, the Roosters are the favorites, and I can see why. Whilst they have struggled tremendously all around, their team on paper is rock solid. This is still the same Roosters team that averages 16 points a game though. By far the worst in the NRL. This will be a really competitive game, but the home field advantage, DCE being in great form, and the fact that Manly almost always follows a loss with a win, with last week being the only exception. I'm edging Manly here, 1-12, and this would technically be our 3rd upset of the round. And there you have it. Round 18 is looking to be an absolute cracker. By far my most anticipated week of the entire season. I guarantee you that after this round, the top 8 entire competition is going to look completely different on the ladder. But with that being said, if you made it this far into the video, then you are the real MVP. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope the rest of your day is awesome. And for me personally, I'm out. Peace.